Hi, everyone. My name is Tierza Watts, and I serve as the director of the Center for Leadership at Elon University. This information session is on the Leadership Experiential Learning requirement, a graduation requirement at Elon University. There are 5 options. You're required to do 2 units of either one of the ELRs, or you can do 2 different ones. And of course, we encourage you to try and do all 5. With me today is one of our student ambassadors.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kenzi, and I'm a leadership ambassador. As leadership ambassadors, we all have different roles. My role focuses on helping students complete the Leadership ELR.
Thank you, Kenzi. So what is leadership versus being a leader? So being a leader is actually just being the human who's doing the actions. You're in a position that either has power or influence, but leadership's actually the action, the work you're doing. And so everyone can be a leader, but we want you to understand that leadership takes practice. There are times where I've had to do things multiple times to kind of figure out that skill and how to apply it with the group or team that I was leading. Elon University feels very deeply that leadership is a hallmark of the student experience. And so we want you to figure out, how can I be civically responsible for a group that I'm working with? How can I take action on a problem, or maybe to provide a service or an experience for others? And how can I actually make a positive difference?
So there are 2 ways for you to earn your Leadership ELR: through a formal on-campus leadership position or through a common good project. And Tirza is going to walk us through what these options look like.
So the leadership position is typically a student who's in an elected role with a student organization, but you do have to be responsible for the work of the group. So you'll notice we have 5 different points for you to pay attention to. So you have to be responsible for directing the efforts of the group, or responsible for group outcomes. So this could be the president, the vice president, could be a committee chair working with a large group of students to do maybe a program or an event. But you have to be engaged with that group and leading what they're doing. The other way that a leadership position will qualify is a student employment position. So we do have some students who are peer supervisors. So you might be supervising 4 or 5 other peers, say at the library, or maybe you're working at the front desk of the Mosley Center. And so you are the lead of that student employment team. The other way that you can earn the ELR is doing what's called a common good project or a common good initiative. So in this, you identify a problem or something you would like to address either on or off campus, and that you want to make a difference. And so you will propose a project, do some research on what that issue or concern is. Then you will come up with some way to address it, and you will implement that solution. And then you're going to evaluate, did that work? Excuse me. Typically, students will meet with me to discuss their idea, and we'll figure out, is it one that fits the common good project? You'll then find a faculty or staff advisor who will work with you. So if you're interested, as I said, would love for you to come and meet with me. We've had students, it typically takes about a year to do a really good common good project, where the leadership position or student employment leadership position is typically 1 semester. You do have to do 40 hours of work once you're approved. So for the common good project, it's probably best to start with having a chat with me. Happy to talk with you at any time. You can see my email on the screen. Feel free to send an email request for an appointment.
So to get started, your application needs to be submitted by the 3rd week of September for your fall semester, or the 3rd week of February for your spring semester. Once you've been added to the Moodle course, all the assignments' hard deadline is due by the Wednesday last week of classes.
So the registration process, I'd love Kenzi to give you a little more detail, because this is the essence of what she does as the Leadership ELR student assistant.
So the registration process starts with watching the video you're watching right now. After that, you'll head back to our website and take the video quiz that's right underneath it. A leadership ambassador, someone like me, will go check your video quiz. If everything looks good, we'll send you a formal application to fill out in your email. You'll give as many details about your leadership role as you can. Once you submit that, Tirza, our director, will review it. You'll either be approved or invited to meet and talk about your position a little more. If approved, a leadership ambassador will add you to the Moodle course so you can begin your assignments and tracking your hours.
All right, so I want us to think a little bit about this Moodle course and what it looks like. So what we've done, and this is an example of a spring set of deadlines. So depending on what semester you're watching this, these dates may change. But we want you to see how this works. So when you're in the Moodle course, you're responsible for doing the assignments. There are several check-ins with your mentor or advisor. So let's go in a little more detail about that. You must have a faculty or staff member serve as your advisor for the Leadership ELR. You're going to meet with them at the beginning of your experience. And so let's say you're starting in the spring semester. So mid-February, you've applied, you've been approved. There's a commitment sheet that you sign, and then there's a mentor agreement. So you're going to meet with that mentor. They're going to sign off saying, yes, I agree to work with you on your position. You're going to then fill out an action planning worksheet, and then you're going to talk about it with that mentor. So we suggest that you kind of put all that together in 2 meetings right up front. You'll then do the Clifton Strengths instrument. We will provide you with a code. This is a $20 inventory that's used around the world, but we provide those codes for you as part of this program. You'll take that instrument and then you'll do a reflection assignment on it. And then you're also going to read about the social change model of leadership, and then you'll take an inventory and kind of self-reflect and assess. How do I put this model of leadership into practice with my student organization or in my student employment experience? So you'll see that module 2, 3, and 4 are all due kind of at the same time, and you'll have a couple weeks to work on that. You'll then write a paper about yourself, right? You've learned about this leadership model. You've taken the Clifton Strengths instrument. Who am I as a leader based on what I know about myself now? So you'll write about the leadership role you're in and then analyze it through that lens of who you are as a leader. A week later, you're going to do a meeting with your advisor or mentor, and you're going to kind of evaluate, where am I at right now? How am I doing in this leadership role? And then lastly, for the reflection paper pieces that are in process, you're going to actually write a paper analyzing your student organization or the office or team that you're working for. It's important to understand the culture and where your leadership position fits within that group and how it helps them progress forward with whatever their purpose is. Lastly, you're going to write a paper kind of wrapping everything up. What have I learned about myself through my 40 hours of leadership work and doing all of these assignments? What do I now know more about myself as a leader and more about the group that I'm working with? You'll then submit all your hours. So you'll notice that the module 1G, that is the actual module that you'll find at front. You're going to track your hours. It's a Word document. You're just going to type in, hey, on this Tuesday, I worked 2 hours. This day, I worked 30 minutes. This one, I did 4 hours because we did an event. But you need to track all semester long. And you turn that at the end with your capstone paper. We then have a very quick, I'm talking 5 minutes or less, exit interview that is a form. And we just want you to tell us about the Leadership ELR experience. So when should you meet with that advisor again? At the beginning to do the mentor agreement, then to do your planning and share with them what your goals are for your leadership position, mid-evaluation, and then we'd like you to share your capstone paper with them at the end and have a discussion of what you got out of this experience. All right, some common questions.
So when will credit for this experience be added to my degree audit or on track?
So typically, as Kenzi has already shared, the registration deadline is usually the 3rd week of September or February. We will then submit, I give it an extra week just to make sure we've got all our ducks in a row, and then I'll submit that before the beginning of October or the beginning of March to the registrar's office, and it should show on track by that time.
So can a student continue their Leadership ELR experience into the next semester if they can't complete their 40 hours in one semester?
Good question. If you start in the fall, and let's say you have 10 more hours that you need, and your role continues into the spring semester, so one of the leadership positions that has been granted that has been resident assistants because they're hired into that leadership role for the year. But if your position, somebody's being elected behind you at the end of December, and you're not going to be in that role in February, when you come back for the spring semester, you cannot. So it really does depend. Can you get all the way through that position because you're still in it? We do not allow anyone to go past spring. So if you don't finish by May, you cannot go into the summer because we don't meet, student organizations don't meet over the summer, and most of our student employees have a summer break. So yes, you can from fall to spring if you're still in that active position, cannot from spring into summer.
So that actually wrapped up my last question, which was, can we do the Leadership ELR in the summer?
Unfortunately, no, you cannot. There is one exception that I will say that we do allow our orientation leaders because they work in the summer. That's the only group. But the standard student in a student organization position or an office leadership position, it has to be in the fall or the spring. All right. So that ends our time together. And we hope that you've learned what you needed to know about the Leadership ELR. So at this point, if you'll go back to our website, click the link for the info quiz on the info session. Kenzi will process what she finds the next time she comes to work. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.